It perfectly goes into our next question, which it's important to emphasize that you not only focus on smell and olfaction in your work, but you also always talk about all five senses and how they influence each other. And you talk about synesthesia. So can you explain what synesthesia is and why it's important to talk about not just individual senses, but how they cross and how they influence each other?
Absolutely. There are many definitions of synesthesia, so it's always a bit complex. Depending on who you talk to, people have different ideas about it. The present day definition would be a very neurological definition. So one sense is physically triggered, let's say your sense of sight, because you see something, but you experience it in one or even more other senses. So seeing sounds would be an example, hearing smells, tasting words. It can also be not a sense, but a concept. So letters can have certain colors or smells. Smell synesthesia is the rarest type of synesthesia, by the way. But in the past, let's define the period around the 1900s, early 1900s, synesthesia had a different meaning. And then back then it was called correspondences, how the senses correspond. So instead of saying blue is the smell of cedar, one would say, okay, what is the common denominator of both the color blue and the smell of cedar? Maybe it's a certain emotion, maybe it's a certain even vibration. It was defined according to vibrations. So that's slightly different. Kandinsky did not paint the music by Schoenberg. He painted what was beyond. So what both the music by Schoenberg and his abstract painting had in common, which was, in his case, movement and emotion. So yeah, slightly different definition, but it's always about how the senses are combined, how the senses influence each other, how they're never operating autonomously.
Yeah, and Caro has actually helped me realize that I have slight synesthesia with artworks and sound. When I visited her at the Kunstmuseum, we were looking at the style artworks, and I realized that I could actually hear them. That was
So
pretty.
yeah, so you really hear it in your mind, right? A true synesthete really hear it as though the sound is there. And I'm actually more of a I have very strong associations and vivid imagination. So I don't think I'm a synesthete, but I can imagine lots of multisensory. Well, I experience multisensory phenomena in my mind when I look at things as well, but you have it really strongly.
Yeah, it is pretty strong. And when I experienced your guided tour with the Piet Mondrian works, and you would play music with the works of art to match them, remember when I would say, no, that's not right. So it's very strong and can be very strong. It's and you've explained in your Knowing by Sensing course that some people actually have it so strongly that it affects their life, like the woman who was it colors and numbers and at a bus stop, and she kept not catching the bus because the number on the bus stop was a certain color.
Yes, absolutely. Let's say for her, 7 is green, and then she saw a bus with a green 4, and she thought, hey, that's my bus, number 7, and she kept missing it. Yeah. And there's also a synesthete, James Wannerton, and he tastes words. So while you talk to him, he has a succession of gustatory experiences, and some can be really bitter and really foul. So if you say a wrong word, he might even, well, suffer because of the words you're pronouncing.
Wow, that's so interesting. I mean, and also sad, but
yeah, but it can also help people. Some people that are extremely good at playing music or extremely good at memorizing dates, they might have a form of synesthesia in which they see a code of colors in space around them, and they It's pre-linguistic. They don't have to think. It's not rational. They can simply say, okay, 2045, Monday, 3rd of July, that's green. So, and then, or the other way around, they see it's green and then they know, hey, that's the 3rd of July and it will be on a Thursday. I don't know. It's incorrect what I said, but it's an example.